Good morning.
Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday, y'all. This is the WOW podcast, WOWW, Wendy's on Wellness Wednesday. I'm Dr. Wendy Sue. I'm an integrative medicine practitioner. I am an author, wife, mom, Gigi, holistic nutrition specialist, lover of Jesus, lover of all things natural. And this is my amazing bestie, Wendy Flournoy.
Hey guys, Wendy Flournoy, certified hypnotherapist, herbalist, forager, educator, student, wife, mom, Gigi, lover of all things non-toxic and God-given.
That's right. So, sister, we're a little later in our morning than normal, but that's all right. We are exercising our rigid flexibility, and I love that.
Always.
I love that we don't stress out over times because our lives are always different all the time. So I'm just glad we try our best to stick to Wednesdays.
That's right.
Yeah. So what have you been up to this last week?
Oh, I ended up making the toothpaste that I said I was going to make. And so far, I am loving it. I'm not sure my kids are going to love it.
Oh, yeah?
They wanted me to make it, and I made it a little different this time. Normally, I make a powder. Mm-hmm. This time, I actually made like a cream. Mm-hmm. But it's a little harder than I would like it to be. So I'm probably going to have to work on that recipe a little bit. But so far, I'm really liking it. I can tell a difference in how my teeth feel. Mm-hmm. My husband said the same thing. So we will keep working with that. It's supposed to be remineralizing with the bentonite clay. Uh-huh. And so we'll see. It's not gritty like the powder. So that's what he likes, the difference in it. So most of the powders are gritty because it's powder.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. I'm using up some old stuff I had bought right now, some old natural toothpaste that I don't love. Right. Because even them, most of the store-bought one, well, they're not store-bought, but the commercial ones still add something that you just don't love. I love the Bohemian Mama powder. Hers was awesome. And then I'm looking at possibly making one that has the hydroxyapatite in it.
Yeah.
Because that's supposed to also be really good for the remineralizing. But I tried some gum. I don't even remember the name of it. I bought some gum that I fell for one of those daggone Facebook ads, and I looked at all their ingredients online, and they lied because they use natural flavors, and it made me so mad. So I'm going through it because it was not cheap.
Right, because you spent the money, right.
But I won't buy it again. But yeah, it's supposed to be remineralizing gum. That so far I like it as far as that goes, but I'm not going to keep using it after this. So
I think my youngest son got some of that.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you probably not going to agree with it because of the ingredients, and I was like, well, it's fine except for natural flavors.
Yes. Yeah. And it's so disheartening when they are not honest on with their stuff. That means they know.
Yes.
If they just put Peppermint on their website, but then you get it and then you see the actual legal, description and it says peppermint flavor, then that they hit it on purpose. And that just gets on my nerves. That's why I actually went against my typical rule of thumb is if the website lists their ingredients, but you don't see it on an official label, I don't trust it. Yeah. I don't trust it. I've got to see it on an official label.
Right.
And because they can get away with a whole lot in marketing that they can't get away with on the actual package.
Right.
And so that's why I like when I get stuff on Amazon, because you can actually scroll through and read the label. And if it's somebody that doesn't put the label, I won't buy it.
Yeah. I have been trying my best not to use Amazon because I prefer local and I prefer small businesses, but Amazon has the small business section where you can search through that. Mm-hmm. Why is it so stinking hard to find fenugreek?
Oh yeah.
I have been to like 5 local stores and cannot find it, that I ended up ordering it on Amazon.
I bet I have it. I could have sent it.
Girl, I thought I had some in my spice cabinet, and I was like, I got up there on my step stool looking all the way to the back because it's something I rarely use.
Yeah.
It's something that I've been digging deeper on and finding out that it's good for so many different things for hair, skin, nail kind of thing.
Gotcha.
So I'm experimenting with some stuff, and I needed some.
That's funny.
And I'm like, why is this so hard to find? It's a spice.
Yeah, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. But you're right. There are some things that, you know, that it comes a time when you know, especially when you're as busy as we are, you know, do I go to 7 different stores to look for something?
Yeah.
Or do I just get it where I know I can get it in 3 minutes flat? And
Exactly.
I hate to be that way because I don't want to support Amazon either. But sometimes it just makes sense, you know?
But I do feel better about using Amazon going to the small business and searching small business because you can pretty much find what you're looking for. And don't get me wrong, you may pay a little bit more.
Yeah.
But to me, sometimes that's worth it, you know?
I agree. Yeah. No, I agree. And then you get a lot of your stuff off of Azure Standard, and that supports small businesses too.
Absolutely.
So how do you
I have the order a pickup on Friday. They actually had a sale on stainless steel, 100% stainless steel bowls.
really?
So I've got that coming in Friday and more half-gallon jars because I'm always using the heck out of them.
Yeah. Look and see what they charge for flour mills in there, would you?
I will. We were talking about that earlier, and I'll look to see if they have the acorn berries too.
Yes. If anybody has a flour mill that you had just this grand idea that you were going to start milling your own wheat and you decided you never use it and you would like to sell it at a reduced rate, please let me know.
That's right.
I am not ready to commit to a $400 to $1,100 price tag on a brand new flour mill. I would rather, you know, get my feet wet with it and use it a little bit first. But
that's right. So reach out if anybody's looking to get rid of one or sees one on Facebook Marketplace or something. Send it to Wendy.
Yes, I am in the market for one that is not going to break the bank. I would like to step up one day to one of those. I mean, I was so excited about us going. I still am excited about us going to Lehman's in Wooster, Ohio when we're there in April. But I had it in my mind that I was going to go there and I was going to come home with a flour mill. And when I started looking at their prices, I was like, oh, no, I'm not.
Right.
Granted, they are built to last forever. I mean, that's what Lehman's is known for. You get one and my great grandbabies will be using my flour mill, you know.
That's right.
But I'm like, okay, that's a commitment. And I'm not ready to say I'm going to use it.
That's a planned ahead commitment.
Yeah. I ain't got it like that where I can just drop $1,000 on a flour mill. I mean, woo, got plenty of other things that need
priority, right?
So, girl, this last week, our church has still been, you know, actively doing our 21 days of prayer and fasting. It's been just so amazing. I mean, like just being able to meet with these folks every night and, because we're doing.
I love that y'all meet every night.
Yes, we were talking about that last night. We're like, we're gonna miss this. It's like, and it's, you know, 15-20 minutes every night at 8:00, and we all get together, and it's just become such a great fellowship time, you know. But yeah, it's been very rich and just the messages we're getting, you know, both you know, personally and in our sermons and everything has just been so good. So I've been very much enjoying that.
I love that.
Yeah. So today we decided we're going to start a 2-part series of getting to know your hosts a little bit better. So we were talking about this and you know, we've been doing this for 1.5 years, and a lot of people have known us since long before we started the podcast. But there's a lot of people that have started tuning in that don't know anything about us and what brought us to this point, what made us want to pursue holistic health and all of these things. So we thought it would be a really good opportunity for us to share over the next 2 weeks. Wendy said, not it. And so I'm going first today. And then she's going to share next week about her voyage into this journey. I'm really excited about it. But first, we are not going to neglect our herb of the week. Wendy is going to talk about peppermint today.
That's right. And we talked about it together. We chose peppermint because 'tis the season. Mm-hmm. We talked about we call it sugar season. But it's the season for the snots and the colds and the flus and the aches and the pains and all the yucks, all the icks, everything. Because I'm sure all of us know somebody who's really sick right now.
Yeah.
So we have already covered most of the main things that we use in our house for colds and flu and this and that and other. So we chose peppermint today just because it's a simple yet very effective herb in the mint family for easing. I'm not going to say that it helps get rid of colds or flus or anything, but it's going to help ease your symptoms of it. Peppermint is not aggressive like elderberry. I would call elderberry aggressive. Peppermint's more like supportive, that one that's over here just kind of supporting, helping you breathe, very mild but consistent. Okay, so the more you use it, the more it's going to work for you. It helps you to breathe. It releases and regulates during any kind of infection. So it's a good decongestant because of the menthol-likeness of it. It opens up passages and sinuses. It's antispasmodic, so it will help with your coughing spells. It's a mild diaphoretic, so it supports gentle sweating if you have a fever. It's great, I think, if you're having a fever episode, and I don't know about you, but I love to take a bath when I don't feel good. So a little peppermint or a couple of drops of peppermint oil in your bath does amazing wonders. Mm-hmm. Add it with a little Epsom salts or a little magnesium flakes, and you have a top-notch, make you feel better bath.
Yeah.
It's antiviral and antimicrobial. It's analgesic, so it helps relieve headache and sinus pressure. It's also an expectorant, so it helps move mucus out of the body. It reduces pressure, even if you fix peppermint tea, because that's what we're going to say is probably the most used. Okay. Mm-hmm. So if you fix a peppermint tea, when you go to drink that tea and smell it, you're getting the aromatherapy for opening up all of the passages and for helping with headaches. Now, if a tea wouldn't be enough for a pressure headache, you could always soak a rag in peppermint tea and put that compress on your forehead or something like that to get a little more. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Improves airflow. It eases sinus headache. Helps with fever. Now, if I have more than a low-grade fever, I would always pair peppermint with elderflower. Okay, because that's going to be a powerhouse fever reducer. But on the flip side of that, typically when I run a fever, I like for it to run its course.
Yeah.
Because your body is trying to fight something. It is trying to self-regulate. So I like to give my body an opportunity to do that first.
Yeah.
If it gets prolonged and it's wearing me out, then I'm going to do something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you agree with that, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So because of the menthol-like qualities of peppermint, it is a cooling herb. So it will cool any kind of overheating, even mental stimulation. It kind of cools things down, calms things. That
makes sense why it works so well at nighttime in my tea.
Yes, it's a relaxing kind of thing, not a chamomile sleepy kind of thing. It's a different, it's different.
Yeah.
And the menthol likeness of it is what helps things circulate.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're sick and you got the icks, it's almost like things are just kind of stagnant. So the more you can get things moving, the better. It's also great for digestion because it eases gas, bloating, nauseousness, relieves cramps. And it's also helpful for if you're that sick to where you don't have an appetite. Typically, it will help with the appetite. Whether if you're finding yourself too hungry, it will help calm that down. If you're finding yourself not hungry, it will make you hungry. So it's one of those herbs that kind of regulates where you are.
Almost adaptogenic.
Yes. And I find that fascinating because it's not at all in the adaptogenic family.
Exactly. That is wild.
Yeah, and it amazes me how many new things I learn when I go deep diving on these herbs because I'm learning right along with you guys too.
Well,
because of the adaptogenic properties, it also is gently uplifting.
mm-hmm.
Okay, improving focus when you're fatigued, and I think that's why you and I enjoy it so much at night.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we're kind of tired, we're kind of fatigued, and it makes us feel better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Helps with brain fog.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay. So like we said, the most common use would be in tea form. Mm-hmm. Yeah, all you need is a little bit, 1 to 2 teaspoons of dried leaf. And I brought my jar in here because unfortunately it's so cold. I don't have any fresh peppermint. So this is my peppermint jar. And I need spring to come so we can get growing some more. And you just take a teaspoon or 2 of dried peppermint. You add 2 to 4 cups of water and heat that sucker up and cover it on all your teas. Cover them so it keeps all the oils in, so you get all the benefits, the complete medicine. Am I allowed to say medicine?
Heck with them. Heck with them. They've already squashed us. Those who want to watch us will see it.
This video is for entertainment purposes only. Does that cover it? Yeah. Now, you can also just do it as a steam. Same way. Put some in a teapot or in a pan on the stove. Let it come to a steam. Put that towel over your head. We've all done that when we were younger. Probably not so much these days, but the steam, just let it soak in. 5 to 10 minutes of that usually is enough to get things moving to where you can breathe better again.
Yeah.
Peppermint oil, the essential oil, just like any other essential oil, never ever use it without it being diluted. It will burn you. Mm-hmm. Okay, just like when I was talking about taking the bath. Mm-hmm. A bathtub is a lot of water, mm-hmm. and a couple of drops of the peppermint essential oil is plenty for a bath. Yeah. That it won't irritate your skin, but you're still going to get the effects of it, and you're not going to have any irritation from it. When I make peppermint soaps and things like that, a little bit of peppermint goes a long way. Because if you use too much, people are going to be using the soap and their skin's going to get irritated because the peppermint's too strong. Yeah. You know? One soap I did make like that. And I'm like, you don't want to use this on your lady parts. Yeah. Because it's strong. Yeah. I do, like I said before, I do like to pair, when I have a fever, I like to pair it with elderflower or yarrow. Because I seem to always have because I grow elderberries, I always have elderflower on hand, and I grow yarrow, so I always have yarrow on hand. Thyme is good if you really have a lot of chest congestion. Pair your peppermint with thyme. It'll help get things moving in the chest. If you feel like you have the chills or something like that, pair it with some ginger. It'll warm you up, but you're still getting the benefits of them both. If you're having a really irritated, scratchy, nasal drip stuff in your throat, and it's just your throat's hurting, then pair it with some licorice root.
Mm.
And that all of that will just coat and help. Pretty safe for pretty much anybody, even children. Of course, you have the standard, don't drink this while you're pregnant,
Yeah.
Tea, peppermint tea for pregnant women is fine, but you just like anything, you don't want to overdo it.
Right.
Everything in mild moderation. Anyone that has severe reflux issues or infants, of course, no go. Don't give them peppermint. Definitely not peppermint oil.
Mm-hmm.
It'll just flare things up for anybody that has reflux.
Yeah.
That's not important. I did find a Bible verse that just kind of reminded me of peppermint.
Okay.
Let everything that has breath praise the Lord.
I love that.
156. Because when I do research on and deep dives on different herbs, I like to connect them with things biblically.
Mm-hmm.
So I will try to find a verse that stands out or reminds me or connects it for me, and that one just fit.
Like that.
Yeah. So get your peppermint in. It's very soothing, can help with the icks this time of year because there's a lot of that going around right now.
Yes. I'm tired of my sniffles.
Well, I think after a few months, I finally got rid of that nagging cough.
Yes. Well, I've never been sick, but I've been around constant sick people for a month. And so it's like, every couple days I get more nasally and I'm like, oh, and I'm pounding vitamin C. So, I mean, I'm sure it would have been much worse if I hadn't been doing what I've been doing, but.
Yeah, exactly. Because we can't, well, I mean, we're human too. We get sick or we get the sniffles or we're around stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's that time of year. And if you're around any kind of littles, they got constant snots right now. And you gotta keep things boosted up and do everything you can and have your herbal arsenals ready.
Yeah. There are two things I use peppermint for that. Well, one goes back to my ER nursing days. It's a really good deodorizer. We always kept peppermint oil on hand, and we'd put a couple drops on a 2x2 gauze pad and sit it in a room when somebody had a GI bleed or C. diff or one of those things that just made the room smell atrocious, and it would knock it right out. It was amazing how well it would knock out the smell.
That's a great point because I keep peppermint oil in the bathrooms.
Yeah.
Because I don't use that, for years I used that poopery stuff.
Yes.
But peppermint oil, and you could make a easy spray with some distilled water and a drop of peppermint oil. Yeah. And you got yourself a spray right there.
Oh, that reminds me. That's another reason or another way I use peppermint. It's not applicable right now, but in the summer, I make a peppermint oil spray to spray for mosquitoes.
Yes.
And it does a really good job of warding off mosquitoes. It's not 100%. You might still, but it's nothing like it would be. And you don't have to use the DEET and all that kind of stuff.
That's right. Plus it cools you down when it's hot.
Yes, it is. It's very refreshing.
Multiple benefits of it.
Yep. I always take a spray bottle of it with me out to the garden and just.
Yes.
and I'm bugged much less by the bugs.
That's right.
But the other thing, that is the number one thing I always tell my clients who are battling nighttime snackiness. Yeah. When I'm trying to get them in a rhythm of time restricted eating or stopping eating 3 hours before bedtime or anything like that. And, that's something that a lot of us in our society, we've just gotten used to our bedtime ice cream or our bedtime whatever. And so I always tell them, get you a hot cup of peppermint tea and that craving will disappear. And it does.
It will help with a sweet craving like instantly.
In a heartbeat. It's amazing to me because I was one of those snackers, it might not have been ice cream as much as it was, chips and guac or whatever, popcorn or something. And whenever I would start to have that craving, I would get me a hot cup of peppermint tea, and it would knock that craving right out. I'd be completely satisfied by drinking that.
And I think it keeps you from wanting what you thought you wanted, and it also relaxes you enough to prepare your mental state for bed.
Yeah, exactly.
And I love the nighttime tea ritual for bed.
I do too. I do it without fail now.
Right, because it lines you up to get that your whole system knows what happens next.
Yep.
So your mind and your body start preparing for sleep.
Yeah. And my last cup, sometimes my last 2 cups, my last cup of the evening always has the black seed oil in it. So it's really powerful. So I'll do something mild like a chamomile. I'll put the black seed oil in it. And so that is a clear signal to my body that, hey, this is it. We're headed to bed after this. And it's amazing when you train your brain to understand those cues. And, but I was going to say too, if you're somebody that really needs flavor in their teas, don't go with the flavored stuff like where they actually use garbage flavors. Pair up what you're trying to do medicinally with a peppermint tea, or lemon ginger or something like that. But pair it up.
A simple lemon balm. Goes really good with a lot of different things. Yeah.
But I'm so funny because like, I don't enjoy just sitting and drinking a cup of chamomile tea. Like it's fine, or like green tea or any of those that just don't have a lot of flavor to me.
Tastes like earth.
Yes. And I mean, they're not bad, but they're not enjoyable to me. Right. So I will pair it up with a peppermint. And then I get my flavor from the peppermint tea, but then I'm getting the medicinal benefits of that, but also of whatever it was, the ashwagandha or whatever I'm pairing it with.
That's right. Your medicinal teas don't have to taste like medicine.
No, pair them up, y'all. Pair them up. Let peppermint help you out with that because that's a lot more enjoyable. All right, girl. Good job. I appreciate that. You shared a lot with us about that. So today,
I love hearing your story. I'm ready.
So for those of you all who have heard my story, this may be very boring to you, or you may hear facets that I haven't shared before because, as you're feeling led to share things, new pieces might emerge, that you hadn't thought to share before. But I wanted to actually very briefly just take you back to, because a lot of people assume when you eat healthy and when you have this healthy lifestyle that, oh gosh, my parents must have been runners and, I was raised in this and all this stuff. And, it's just the only life
you grew up that way, that you didn't do any other lifestyle.
Right. And that is not so. My mama being legally blind, and so I've never faulted her for this. One of the greatest things that ever happened to her was a microwave, and being able to cook for us, with frozen dinners and things like that. So we grew up on processed food and, and they didn't know any better. That's not one of those things that were, that was thought then. I mean, everybody just assumed, well, it's food, it's got to be safe. It's in the grocery store, it's got to be safe. A lot of us thought that for years and we had no idea how bad it was. But so I grew up on that. And then worked at McDonald's at age 14 for 5 years. And so, my life was fast food and processed food. I got married super young. I was 16 when I got married to my kid's dad. And as you can imagine, being a young mom and a, very young married couple, we lived off of a lot of processed foods. We lived off of whatever we could get our hands on. And so I was very much a processed food girl. I mean, it's just what I knew. When I was 19, I was in a severe head-on collision. And that totally changed the trajectory of my life. I really do believe, because, well, for one, it really made me recognize how powerful God is, because by every account, I should have been killed in that accident. And then to hear all the progression, doctors saying, well, you might've survived, but you're never going to walk again. And then I fool them and I walk. And then I asked about this horrible limp I had at the time. And well, you'll never get rid of that limp. That's with you to stay because of all the trauma. And then I worked my butt off in the gym and got rid of that limp. Now I have it a little bit more today, but I'm also about to turn 52. So, these things happen, but it's nowhere near like it would have been.
Hey, you're not in a wheelchair either.
Exactly. So, it was quite an amazing time in my life that really defined a lot of my future. And it actually is what made me want to become a nurse, because I had some amazing nurses and I had some horrific nurses. And I was like, I want to be one of them good ones that actually care about people. So anyway, so I went on to school later to become a registered nurse, and I spent most of my career in ER and trauma. And in the midst of that, I was all in, y'all. Like, nursing was my life. I was very well decorated. I had gone to, I had gotten all of my advanced certifications that aren't required. And I was one of, I can't remember how many it is now. It was like one of 1,500 in the whole country that had both my certified emergency nurse and certified pediatric emergency nurse, the extra licensure and everything. And so, I was very proud of that and just loved everything about conventional medicine and what I was learning. And I say all this to say that I'm not somebody that was a skeptic. Okay. I'm not somebody, I believed everything I was taught. I hung on every word I was, that was given to me by any of the doctors, by anything that I learned in school, by all of that. So you're not talking to somebody that was a born skeptic, not at all. So when my son I was trying to think about when this was the other day. I think it was in 2011. Because he would have been 18. He became a type 1 diabetic. And at this point, I'd been an ER and trauma nurse for about 6 years. And I was blown away because, as terrifying as that was, he managed it beautifully. 9 months of just, he was a rock star with managing his blood sugars. And I was scared out of my mind, as any mom is when you get such a devastating diagnosis like that. And especially being an ER nurse, I always saw the worst of the worst. I saw the ones who never took care of themselves. I saw the kids that were in and out of the hospital nonstop, but they were very poorly managed. And so all I could think of is, this is what my son was going to turn into. And he is not at all. He is a rock star when it comes to managing his diabetes. And always has been. So about 9 months after his diagnosis, he started getting really sick with this GI disorder. Everything was running right through him. He was just, so sick. And for 9 months, I had him in and out of the best of the best doctors I knew. Even took him up to Johns Hopkins, which now is down for me. But at the time, I was living outside of Richmond. It was up to Johns Hopkins. And put him with the doctor, the pediatric gastroenterologist, I think he was. But anyway, it was a pediatrician doctor who was willing to still see him at age 19 now at this point, who was supposedly the best of the best this side of the Mississippi, is what everybody was telling me. So I went up to see him. And in the midst of all this, I was very terrified for my son's life. He is almost 6'1", and he had gotten down to 118 pounds. He was not holding on to any food in his body. And it's not like my kid to stay in the bed. He was always very active. He had 2 jobs. He was, it was not like him to just all of a sudden stay in the bed. And so he got to the point where he could barely get out of the bed some days. So I was learning more and more about food. I actually had a childhood friend of mine who's a photographer. So nobody that had anything to do with medicine. He reached out to me and he said, "Hey, I just want you to know I had a really bad cardiac condition and I cured myself with food." And I was like, please, I'm a nurse. I know how to get him to eat right. You know, we don't do so bad. This nurse didn't know jack. I learned so much from this guy, and he pointed me in a lot of different directions. And I started doing my own research, and I ended up, the last time that we left the doctor in Baltimore at Johns Hopkins, I was so frustrated because his only answer for my son was to put him on an antidepressant. And I was like, you don't know my kid. My kid is only depressed because y'all can't figure out what's wrong with him. Yeah. He is not depressed because that is causing his, the depression is not causing his GI stuff.
Yes.
So I was very frustrated. And I, after doing all this research independently, I asked Matthew on the way out, and I said, look, are you ready to take matters into your own hands? And he said, Mama, I'm willing to do anything. And I said, okay, I've been studying more about food. We're going to do an elimination diet, and we're going to, and I'm going to do it with you. And we're going to figure out what is causing your body to revolt. Well, y'all, did this elimination diet with my son. And in 5 weeks' time, he came off every single prescription medicine that he had been put on, because over those 9 months, it was prescription procedure, prescription procedure, prescription procedure. That's all it was in those 9 months that he was being managed. Nobody had any answers. So 5 weeks' time, he is off all of his medicines. All of his symptoms are gone, except for his insulin. He'll always be on his insulin. But all the other medications they'd put him on. And he ran a 10K. This kid could not get out of bed hardly.
Yeah.
So, and Wendy knows. Wendy was around at that time, and she knows.
It was miraculous. It really was.
It was. And so I knew then and there, when I had witnessed what I had witnessed with him and how much better I was feeling because I did it with him, that God was calling me into sharing this message with others, because I was so entrenched in conventional medicine and believed everything that I had been taught. And I realized I didn't know jack. I didn't know anything. So I ended up going back to school to get my bachelor's in holistic health sciences, and loved what I was learning so much that I went on to get my doctorate in integrative medicine. And I remained in the ER for a while. I mean, couldn't just quit and go to school, and so I remained in the ER, would get really frustrated because I'd try and teach my my patients how to eat. And some doctors would get really angry with me, stop giving them this false hope. And I'm like, maybe somebody needs to tell them that these what
you eat matters.
Yes. And so, and one of the things that blew my mind the most in all that, and first of all, let me just back up and say, for anybody who's never heard me say this, I'm not angry with doctors. Doctors are not taught. That was part of my self-education before I went back to school. Why I wanted to go in a different direction with my career is because I realized how much the pharmaceutical industry, the processed food industry, how much all of these big industries have an effect on what we learn in nursing and medical schools. And, they make sure you learn exactly what they want you to learn, which is how to prescribe medications. They don't teach you about nutrition. The doctors get less nutrition education than the nurses do. And I only got 3 weeks. Yep. So, it is, when you put it in that perspective, you can't be mad at the doctors.
No, they don't know.
They have no idea. They're assuming they're getting the absolute best education, non-biased, and it is very biased, unfortunately. Yeah. So they are not taught prevention like you wish they would be. They're not taught self-regulation like you wish that they would be.
And they take it upon themselves to learn.
Exactly. And I always tell people, if you have a doctor that is very up on nutrition and natural healing methods, do not lose that doctor. Hold on tight to them, because they are rare. And there are a lot of young doctors coming up that are learning this stuff on their own.
Yes. Because they want to, right? Because they want to.
And I so appreciate those doctors, because they're so needed.
Yes.
But anyway, so I mean, Matthew today is thriving. He's married. He's got his own business. He's very, very healthy and has never, knock on wood, been hospitalized for either his type 1 diabetes or what we later found out was celiacs.
Right.
So I'm just so.
And he's been on lots of mission trips and things like that and never had to worry about getting sick again.
No, he has done so very well. And so it is possible. It is possible. I watched my son knocking on death's door to completely healed and living a vibrant life. Now, is he still a type 1 diabetic? And does he still have celiacs? Yes. Sure. And every once in a while, those things evolve and we have to make some adjustments. Like recently, he's had some symptoms where we're noticing he's probably not even tolerating gluten cross-contamination, which is sad because he's always been, as long as he doesn't intentionally ingest gluten, or not just intentionally, but as long as he doesn't ingest something that is full on gluten, he's never had a problem with like somebody frying something in the same fryer that, was gluten, or somebody cooking the same thing, that was gluten. He's never been to that degree. And lately, over the last year, he's had a couple of odd symptoms, knowing he didn't eat anything that would put him there. And so we're starting to suspect he's having some cross-contamination. But he's been diagnosed now. We've known about it now for 14 to 15 years.
Yeah.
So if it's taken this long for him to have any kind of progression, but none of it is something that's not manageable for him, which has been incredible. So that was really the start that got me into all this. As I was going through school, I started having the confidence to help my own family with a lot of things. My sister is one of my favorite success stories.
Mine too.
She lost her entire 30s, y'all. Her entire 30s. My sister was this frail, meek, couldn't get off the couch.
Always in pain.
Always in pain.
Mm-hmm.
And she had been diagnosed with fibromyalgia. And she was living like that for, I can't remember if it was 13 or 14 years, but her entire 30s, completely gone. And I, for a little while, she would think I was a little hokey with some of my stuff. And she's like, oh no, the doctor's got this. They've got me on all these medicines. They're doing this, they're doing that. And I was like, baby, I wish you would just let me share with you.
Right. Just try it. Just try it.
Well, she finally got so sick of, the cost of all of her medications were going up. The continued problems she was having, like she ended up having back surgery because some of the pain was uncontrolled and all of this stuff, that then, a year later, her back was hurting again and all these things. And she was just like, there's got to be a better way to live. And so finally she was willing to try. And I put her on an elimination diet, did the whole 9 yards. My sister became the most vibrant. I mean, she's about to turn 50 next month, y'all. And she rides bikes, she travels, she's constantly active. She is involved in so many things. She's involved in politics.
Really different person than she was in her 30s, for sure.
She is. I mean, she speaks at these big political engagements and rubs elbows with people in DC. Not my form of entertainment, but she loves it and she's good at it. And I mean, but
she's got a great voice for the middle.
She does. But she is a totally different human than she was in her 30s.
Mm-hmm.
When I tell you my sister could not get off the couch, I mean, like, even if her husband would take her they love to go to New York City. And if she spent half a day walking around, guaranteed for a week, she would not be worth anything. She couldn't function. So, she always had to plan, okay, Rainey and I are going to do a day trip, so I can't schedule anything this whole next week. And it's like, how
she would have to make up for that, pushing herself through that one day of physicalness.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So anyway, she is back at the weight that she always wanted to be without effort. I mean, she exercises and everything, but I'm just saying she's there. It naturally came off when we got rid of all the inflammation in her body. And then we went back later after she was already doing really well because she started having really bad hot flashes. And I did another elimination diet with her and did the trigger food testing that I do with people. And we found that her trigger foods, were that she had 2 major trigger foods that were causing her hot flashes. They're gone. She doesn't get them anymore. I mean, and so I just love that I was able to help my own sister completely turn her life around. And then my husband has rheumatoid arthritis. We got him off all of his medications and we're completely managing him with food when he was behaving. I'll be the first to tell you that he's a stubborn, bullheaded man. Love him to pieces. But he knows, because he knows if there's certain things he eats that he's going to be miserable. And there are things he avoids because of that. But I mean, we totally had him in remission for a period of time when he was strict with every single thing he was eating, and he became a believer. When he went through cancer, I mean, his healing from cancer was out of this world. The doctors could not believe how quickly he recovered from all of the treatments he went through. And they attributed it to how he was eating, because I had him on a very strict cancer-friendly diet or I should say cancer-killing diet.
That's right.
It was not cancer-friendly.
It was for entertainment purposes only.
Yes. And a strict cancer-killing diet when he was going through it. Mm-hmm. So anyway, once I realized that, it wasn't just a fluke thing with my son and with me, and I'm helping my family with all these things. I opened Freedom Holistic Wellness. I've been helping hundreds of people since that came to be. And I couldn't be happier to have this calling now. And I will share a little bit deeper with that. Started that in 2020. And then in spring of 2022, at the time when I launched it, it was originally Massey Wellness. Spring of 2022, God really laid it on my heart that it's not about me. So it was time to change the name, which I never intended for it to be, but it was honestly a lazy name, because every time I came up with something, it was taken, and I was like, oh, Massey Wellness, nobody has that. Okay. So, but anyway, I'm sitting in church one day and God just laid it on my heart that it was Proverbs 31:17. And which is, I love the Proverbs 31 woman. For anybody who's ever read the Proverbs 31 woman, she's like my favorite story in the Bible. I just love her. And Proverbs 31:17 says her arms are strong for her tasks. And I just felt like when God laid that on me, that he was letting me know that he was really grieved that so many of his people are not strong for the tasks that he calls them to. True. And it really made this into a new trajectory where I wanted to help people with holistic healing, not just physically, but physically, mentally, and spiritually. And that this was all part of, me helping people see that this is spiritual warfare on us. If God's people, if any people, but if God's people are so distracted by disease, so distracted by feeling unwell, distracted with pain. Yes, pain, they are not fully focused on him. And I've lived it, y'all. When I've had chronic pain, even in my, recent days, if I all of a sudden have some of my chronic pain slip in for whatever reason, it's very distracting. Yes. And so I just really felt like that was just such a big calling for me to help people to not only remove the distractions, but to then allow that to be empty space that God could fill, and to help them grow more in their relationship with him, so they can hear him and not be distracted by how horrible they feel. They
and
can
live their calling.
Yes.
Because when you're in pain, you can't truly live your calling.
No. And I'm going to tell you, it was very hard for me for a long time to understand, because I felt like, well, God can use somebody who's bedridden for, something.
Absolutely.
That's very true.
Absolutely.
And I'm not knocking that. Obviously, God is bigger than anything that I could ever help anybody do, and would ever, want to do. But the fact is that there's a lot of us that have callings on our lives, and we are very, very distracted by brain fog, by low energy, by pain, by so many different things. And a lot of it, I am truly convinced, is an attack of the enemy, because the enemy has gotten its hands on our food system, gotten his hands in the pharmaceutical system, and people have become so dependent on this garbage. And so
for so many years, that it's how we grew up. It's what we trusted and believed.
Yes.
That they were telling us the truth, right? So it's like we had no reason not to believe them.
Right.
So that's what we did.
Right. And now we know different.
And it amazes me today to talk to people about herbs. Let's just use herbs, okay, or food.
Yeah.
Interchangeable, because to me they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
To talk to someone about that, and they are scared to death to try something that you recommend, but they're over here taking 8 different prescription drugs, and it's like, did you do that much research on all of those?
Right. Right. Well, and that's just it, is that it's a brainwashing. And it really makes me sad. Now, I'm integrative, so I recognize there is no country that does ER and trauma better than the United States.
No, and I'm not saying that there's not a place and time for the prescriptions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But it is overdone.
Yes.
There's a pill and a prescription for everything that can easily be managed with food. Bill laughs at me every time we're watching a football game and there's 82,000 prescription commercials on. He loves to look at my face and he gets to giggling, because I'm like, and
they get to the end and they start listing all the side effects.
And I'm like, if it's something like hot flashes or something like, eczema or something, I'm like, I've helped so many people be able to get rid of that stuff with food. It's like, it doesn't have to be prescriptions that are going to turn around and make you have other symptoms that you then have to take more prescriptions for. But this is when the big realization hit me, when I realized how money driven everything was. United States Americans make up 4% of the entire population of the world. 4%. Okay. We are the ones that provide 80% of pharmaceutical profits. So they have us hook, line, and sinker. And a lot of that became a big thing. We talked about it last week, about when Bill Clinton allowed the pharmaceutical companies to start advertising, and when they then started being able to determine what our media reported on. And I mean, it's just created so much mess in our country.
Yes.
But you got to follow the money. If the rest of the world, the other 96% of people, are clearly only using things when absolutely necessary, and there are countries that are a heck of a lot healthier than we are.
Absolutely. Then
you might start wanting to scratch your head that maybe there's a reason that we are being kept so sick. So, sorry, sometimes that tinfoil hat goes on, but it fits very comfortably, y'all. And it's got a lot of truth behind it.
That's right.
But anyway,
never be so closed-minded to at least listen to a different option.
Exactly. And that being said, thank you for saying the word closed-minded, because the Lord laid something on my heart this weekend very heavily. And I have been very closed-minded about the GLP-1s, and I know that there's a better way for most people. I do know there's a better way. But that being said, what hit me the other day is that there is somebody that prayed for that very solution. True. And it's working for them, and it's helping them in the season they're in. Am I scared to death for them? Because I know that we do not know the long-term effects. Yes. And what we do know is very scary. So my passion and my heart behind medications like that is not to shame anybody for deciding that that was the best thing for them in that season. It's, please try another way so that you are not locked into that forever. Because it's my anger at the pharmaceutical companies that know that people want that quick fix. And I know that's not the only reason people take it, but there are a lot of people who are taking it for the quick fix. And it makes me very upset that they are profiting in such a huge way on medications that aren't even allowed in their own countries of origin. I mean,
before we even know all of the risks involved.
Yes.
And yes. It's in the same way. Yeah, I told you, Rick called me out for being judgmental.
Yeah. So I don't ever want to.
You're right. I have to stop that. It's just the passion for wanting people to heal.
Yes.
That's all it is.
Yeah. I'll tell you what really hit me was my pastor had just such an amazing sermon the other day. And again, just like in the past, it's not necessarily what he was preaching about, but he made a comment that really opened my eyes. And he said that, basically he was getting at that there's a lot of scripture, and it's the living word. And we all have something that speaks to us when we're studying scripture. But maybe what God is using to speak to me today is not what he's using to speak to somebody else right now in this season. And his words, he said, calm down, because he was talking about people arguing on social media. And he's like, if you're using scripture in context as it was intended, that's one thing, but that might not be what that person is ready to hear right now. It might not even be what God is ready for that person to hear right now. That's so right. I really process that to not just be about scripture, but to be about health as well. I have a lot of things speaking to me that I just want the whole world to hear, and I want everybody to believe me. I want everybody to listen right now, and, just do these things and you're going to get better. And I'm not wrong, but maybe I'm not right for you yet. And I can accept that.
That's right. And that's kind of what Rick was saying. He's like, he said, you're being very judgmental. Yeah. And I pride myself to the point where I don't judge.
Yeah.
And I never want to judge, because I certainly am not perfect.
Same.
And it's like, I didn't even realize that I was being judgmental until he called me out on it. And I was like, you know what? I didn't like hearing it, but he was right.
And the thing is it's not from a place of hate or being judgy. I mean, I'm just like you. I'm so far, I have lived a wild life, y'all. I have no reason to stand in judgment of anybody.
No.
What I stand in judgment of is the fact that there are these huge conglomerates that are treating us like puppets.
Yes.
And it infuriates me. And all I want to do is go around and cut those puppet strings. But if you're not ready to have those puppet strings cut yet, or if you need something at this season in your life and you're not ready to hear the other options, then I'm not for you yet. And that's okay. Yeah. But I want you to know, that
you have a different option.
That you have options.
Know that you have a different option.
Exactly. I want you to know you have options. And I also want you to know that it never comes from a place of me pointing my finger at you and saying, boy, you're stupid for taking that medicine. I don't feel that way.
No.
I am furious.
We understand. Of all people, we understand wanting that medicine.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So, and that's with anything, I was the person who hung on every word my doctor said. I am the one that accepted 5 different medications during my son's 9-month illness for my son when we had no idea what was going on, out of desperation. I trusted that what they were giving me was actually going to help, and I didn't know better. And so everything was just making him sicker and sicker. And so it's a totally different perspective and a different hat that I wear now. And so I just want people to know that anytime you ever hear me stomp at my feet over something that just makes me so mad, it is not directed at individuals. It is most definitely out of love for people. Absolutely. And wanting to teach them a better way, but
wanting to help in a non-harmful way.
Yes. Because I know it can be done.
That the people on the medicine, that anything's going to happen to them, I'm praying that nothing happens.
Of course. I can tell you that now, after working with hundreds of people in the last 6 years, that I have not had one person who has followed what I taught them and has not come off of medications, has not lost weight, has not reached or come, or headed in the right direction of reaching their goals. Not one. And I've never once had one person say, gosh, Wendy, I paid all this money and didn't get anything out of it or anything like it. Nobody.
Or the side effects are awful. None of that.
None of that. It has all been positive. I just talked to a lady yesterday who was signing up for our community, which I'll talk about here in a second. But I worked with her a couple years ago, and it wasn't time for her yet. She didn't have great results when we worked together because she was at a very busy, crazy stage in her life. And it just wasn't time. She had some improvement. She definitely bought in because when she was following things, she felt amazing. Right. But she reached out. We talked on the phone yesterday, and she picked back up all the material I had given her, and her husband have been doing it together. And he is the lowest he's been since high school. He's lost 64 pounds. Nice. And she's dropped 20, which she doesn't have tons to lose. And she was like, Wendy, we 100% followed what you said. I mean, it works. I just want to tell everybody it works. And so I just love hearing those stories, when my clients come to me and say, I've tried everything, and then I put into practice what you teach and it works. And
there's no better feeling than hearing somebody's life has improved because of what you taught them.
Yeah. And all I'm doing is teaching them how to treat their bodies the way they were created to be treated, fueling them properly, moving the way you're supposed to, all of the things that God created us to be able to do and to consume. And it's amazing when you get rid of all the man-made junk. But just to wrap up the About Me section, in October of 2022, I met Donna Parto. She's my mentor for authoring books. And she helped me release my first book, March 2023. I've got a couple other in the pipeline that I'm really trying to get released, but the cost of publishing is not cheap. So I'm trying to make sure that I have all my ducks in a row so I can get these published that I have been working on. And then now, I've been working now for 6 years with people on a private basis. And it's been wonderful, but I have such a heart, and I am continuing to do that. But I have such a heart for the fact that what I do is, and anybody who does anything like me, is very expensive because we can't take insurance, and we pour a lot into each one of our clients, and it's not something that we can offer for low prices and feed our families. I mean, it just isn't. So I've been working with people on a private basis, but it has been really grieving my soul that cost has hampered people from being able to work with me. And a lot of times the very people who need me the most are the ones that can't afford it because they are, forking out tons of money for medications and medical bills and all these things. And so it's really been something that's bothered me for a long time, and I've prayed about it. And so God brought the idea to me about launching our community, which is the Freedom Holistic Wellness Community. It is a low cost, very high value, lots of support opportunity for people to learn the whole lifestyle, to get support throughout. They are essentially getting an entire program and then some. I mean, and then I'm having ongoing.
I mean, you can quit scrolling social media platforms and spend all your time in the Freedom Holistic Wellness Community learning and getting encouragement.
Yeah. I mean, it's been such a game changer for so many people. And the fact that, just like Wendy said, if you get off social media, because social media is so full of ads and noise and politics and arguing and so much just controversy and chaos. And then you go over to here, and you also on social media only get what the algorithms want to show you.
That's right.
So, you go over to the Freedom Holistic Wellness Community that I've created on School, and it is no algorithms, no ads. I paid for the highest level of this platform so that I would prevent anybody from having ads when they're in our group. We don't discuss politics. We don't, there's no keyboard warriors in there because people are actually paying to be in there. So they have, they're not going to be some troll like you get on social media. Right. So it is just a very safe, supportive, encouraging place where you're learning so much. I'm in the middle of a 13 seminar series that I'm doing in a 3-week period. I've never done anything like this, but I'm doing it to give people all of the basics of this lifestyle. And I'm keeping it in a classroom in there so people can access it, way down the road.
I love that, because anytime you need a refresher, you just go right there.
Exactly. And so I'm doing all these seminars. That's going to lead us up to Sugar Busters to help everybody get rid of their holiday sugar cravings that they haven't been able to get rid of. And, it's one thing after another throughout the year. I'm planning a group parasite cleanse by large request. That's never something that I thought I would ever be asked to do, but everybody wants to go through a parasite cleanse.
Because we're hearing so much about it these days. For years we didn't hear anything about it.
Yeah. So we're going to do that. We are going to do, I'm developing a new 6-week thyroid program to improve thyroid health. I'm going to be doing that in the spring. So it's just one thing after another of education and support all throughout this. We just finished in December a GLP-1 hormone boosting protocol, a natural one that I had put out, and a lot of people were shocked that they lost weight in the month of December. So I mean, it's just I'm very proud of this group, because what used to cost thousands of dollars to work with me is $374 a year now. Yes. And I would venture to say even more valuable, because
I think so, because you're getting all of you, not just a program of you.
Right. And so I'm thrilled with it. I think the people that are going to benefit the most are the ones, that as far as the current program, the people that are going through programs now are the ones who are also members of the community, because they are getting the best of both worlds. They're getting the targeted program for them, and they're getting the community aspect of it too. But nobody in the community is being, forced to do anything. It is more than just the information in there alone is
That's
incredible.
right.
So join us, y'all. Yes. I'm very happy with how that has come to be. So anyway, Enough about me, girl. What you got going on this coming week?
I am, I did a deep dive. I was telling you, I don't think I mentioned on here, but I found a difference of rosemary.
Oh, yeah.
And so because I did deep dive, I'm still trying to perfect my rosemary shampoo bar. And I'm creating a rosemary oil-based oil that can be used for ethnic women on our daily and for other women as like a hot oil treatment. Remember back in the days of the VO5? So I am creating that. And on my deep dive researching on that, I found that there were 2 different types or a specific type of rosemary that is more effective on the hair than the rosemary oil I have been using. So we're going to switch things up a little bit. And I've got everything now to create new rosemary shampoo bars tomorrow. So in a couple weeks, you'll probably be getting another package when they're ready. So you can test it out for me. So because you have my older ones, so what I'm going to be looking for is comparison between the older one and the new one. Because what I'm trying to do is perfect that recipe to start creating that just more often.
Yeah.
It's going to be a core product. So that's my main goal right now is to get, and what I'm trying to do, I think I told you before, what I'm trying to do is create complementary sets of things to be my core products. That way, if you want a shampoo bar, there's also a hair oil, so the sets like that complement each other.
That's great.
That's what I'm still working on, just steadily rolling, because you can't make a whole lot of anything till you get your recipe just right.
Yes. Well, my girlfriend Leah cut off all my dead ends, and I received your shampoo bars in the mail yesterday. So I'm going to start using them by the end of this week, and I am looking forward to it. So I will be ready to do the comparison.
All right, good day. I can't wait to hear your feedback on it.
Yes, very much so.
How about you? What you got going on this week?
Well, still just trying to get through the 13 seminars, because that's taken a lot of energy to make sure that I have all of that up and good information ready to share and then post it in there for people to watch after the fact. On a personal level, a lot of people, and I don't remember if I've mentioned this yet, but I've been doing a deep dive myself into biblical bread and biblical wheat. And it has really bothered me. I know why. Well, let's put it this way. I have believed I've known why bread is so problematic nowadays. And I haven't been wrong, but I haven't gotten the whole picture.
Right.
And so in my research, I have found it's not just that we, are getting garbage because of what's being grown and all the genetic modifications and all of this
depletion, nutrient depletion.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What I have found is that when good organic ancient grains are ground or are milled fresh and are used within 3 to 4 days, they actually maintain all of the nutrients.
Yes, yeah.
And that means that anytime you're buying a bag of flour, it's nutrient depleted because it was never meant to be shelf stable.
Yep.
I don't care if it's organic ancient grain.
It doesn't matter what kind of flour.
Nope.
All of them.
Yes. If you are spending gazillions of dollars on something that you think is the best flour in the world, if it was milled but more than 4 days ago, you've lost the nutrients. And that's what made me want to deep dive. I was like, Lord, you included the word bread in our Bibles over 400 times. There had to be a reason. And it was nourishing. I joked with Bill last night. I said, Jesus didn't call himself the potato chip of life. you know, and he didn't, on the flip side, didn't call himself, you know, the avocado of life. He said he was the bread of life. And so a bread, he's not going to use something that's not nutritious,
That's
you know,
right.
in that. And so I just started doing all this research, and it comes down to the fact that we're buying already milled flour. So I am really going to pursue my recommendation for the whole world is still going to be gluten-free, everybody, unless you are willing to have fresh milled flour that you mill right then when you're getting ready to use it.
Right.
And if you are going to do that, you're going to maintain the nutrients, and then it becomes a food of nourishment. All the garbage out there that is pre-baked and pre-milled is garbage. It's
I've
not.
seen so many homesteaders go to, you know, storing the berries.
Yes.
And milling at home, and it fascinates me.
Yeah.
The difference that they talk about in the food and the things they make,
Yep.
all like that. And I'm like, that
well,
such a difference.
And think about it. We know the grain will store. I mean, and that's even biblical. There were times when they were storing up 7 years worth of grain in the storehouses, you know? And so we know that the grain is not the problem if you're getting good quality grain. It's the fact that we're milling it way before we use it.
Well, it makes sense, right? Because think about even the olive oil. Because we've done the deep dive on the olive oil, and it's like, okay, well, we have no idea how long that olive oil has been sitting on that shelf, or how long it sat in a warehouse before it ever got to that shelf. Exactly. And it's probably 80% of it's probably no good.
Exactly. That's why we started buying ours from that olive oil hunter.
Yeah.
That guy, because they will literally, like what we just got last week was pressed in December in Italy. And right. I mean, y'all can taste a difference. It is so, I mean, like you can do a shot of that stuff and be like, wow, this is so yummy. I would never do a shot of any olive oil I've ever bought in the grocery store.
No.
And
I dare to say that it's making a huge difference in my herbal products too.
Yes.
When I changed the brand of olive oil and the type of olive oil. To me, this is just my opinion, because other herbalists are going to disagree with me. It has even more medicinal benefits.
Oh, certainly.
You know,
certainly, because olives naturally did. Again, something else that was biblical. Exactly. You know, and when you take away from yes, technology is wonderful in some things. Technology strips a lot of the health benefits of a lot of things that we have today. And you think about it, these things were not readily available on store shelves 100 years ago. Right. These are things that have come to be. And well, now how are they shelf stable when they weren't before? So it's
right. Exactly.
When you start thinking of it like that, you know, it's pretty crazy. But yeah, so as far as me, I'm gonna check with my local. I have one store. It's not super local. It's like 40 minutes away from me. But Sonnewald's, for anybody who's local to me and knows, Sonnewald's is probably the best natural food store around here. And they actually have mills. So I'm going to see if, you know, temporarily until I can find me one that's not going to break the bank, if I can go over there like once a week and get just enough for that, you know, for me to make something for the week.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, so my perspective on gluten is changing. I'm going to try and do an organic einkorn sourdough when I can get my hands on it, and mill it myself.
Nice.
And other than that, my recommendation is still gluten-free for everybody, because the stuff out there is garbage unless you're taking, you know, that step. So
right. Milling it yourself.
Yep. All right.
I'm on Facebook Marketplace for you. Yes. And maybe I'll find a 2 for deal.
That would be awesome. All right. Well, I appreciate this time with y'all. For any of y'all that hung in there and listened all about my story, I hope I didn't bore you to tears, but
I love your story.
I hope you hear the heart more behind why I am where I am today, and my heart for Jesus and my heart for helping people heal so they can be more readily available for his service. So, and next week we're going to learn all about Wendy Flournoy.
That's right. Come on back.
Yes. All right, y'all have an amazing week. We love you, and be well.